I'm Mike Markoff, and I play Nathan Longwood in Stolen Season. I first met Pascal virtually. I had auditioned for the role, and I believe at first the role was sort of already cast. He had a guy in mind, sort of kind of like a bigger, more aggressive-looking dude. And I guess he was still taking a look at audition tapes, and he saw mine, and he messaged me saying that I was very weird and not exactly what he was looking for, but he liked what I did in the tape. So he conceded and eventually gave me the role after some pondering and some messaging and getting my hopes up. And for a while there, I was pretty sure I wasn't going to get it. But then the good news came in, and he told me I got the role. And working on Stolen Season was that was an adventure. He's a very, very interesting director, writer, and DP, and editor, and all-around filmmaker. He is what the industry calls a visionary. And the way I think of it with Pascal is he has this vision. And it is a crazy, crazy vision, usually. And he doesn't like to exactly communicate it to you. He creates this arena, this sort of free-for-all of a collaboration of creativity, which is why it is so much fun being in one of his movies, because he lets you decide a couple of the important things that happen in the scene. And he's all over the place with his camera. At first, you would think it would be distracting because he's up in your face and he's moving around and he's like doing a pirouette around you and like, you know, catching some kind of weird angle and punching in. But it was so much chaos that he's just not there after a bit. And yeah, it's really, really strange the way he shoots. But then you look at his films, and they all make sense. He breaks all these rules, which is fun. Kind of messed up, but mostly fun. My preparation for this film was very hands-on with Pascal. He really loved to spitball about the character of Nathan and the story and where his place was. And from what I understand, he was working very hands-on with everybody in the film, trying to, determine, what these characters are thinking and going through and what these interactions mean. And what's great about Pascal is he always tries to choose the most interesting choice. And I think that's pretty evident when you watch the film. The circumstances always sort of seem to be dire. Playing Nathan was a different role for me. I usually play very, very, maybe some more scarier characters and such. And Nathan, at least he starts off this way. He's kind of a normal dude, somewhat reasonable until he becomes unreasonable, until he becomes unnormal and such. But playing this very, very real character, in just a very extraordinary circumstance was a lot of fun, because you find that in films, characters are always normal until they are thrown into an unnormal situation, such as all the characters in this film, which is always a joy to do. Pascal and Alisa were like ninjas all throughout Portland, and you would never know that he shoots this way. From the way his films look, they look like these, if you saw On the Horizon or anything, these very, very sort of epic shots that look like, a six-man gaffer team was in there and cranes and all this such. And no, it's Pascal with this little remote control a sound person, and that's it. And this guy somehow creates these amazing shots. I mean, captures raw emotion in these scenes, pans over these very intense landscapes, and it's just, it was really, really amazing to see the story come together as a whole. And I found myself rooting for the Ariane character, which is so funny because during the preparation, I hated her. I was trying to justify Nathan's actions, because Nathan was kind of like, he was kind of like a douche in retrospect. He was kind of like really screwed up, but I was justifying everything that he was doing, and I spent all my time justifying what he was doing and thinking how irrational and ridiculous Ariane was being. And then when I watched the film, I was like, oh man, I really do kind of hope that it's her son. Man, I'm feeling everything that she's going through. And I was very, very surprised to take her side while I was watching. And then kind of looked at Nathan and I was like, man, this guy's a prick. What a dick. One of the great pleasures of being in this film was being able to work with Abbey. That girl gives everything. There's, in the industry with actors, there's something that we call teching your way through emotions. This is where you can formulaically play emotions. Abbey didn't do that. She held herself responsible for every goddamn emotion that she was supposed to portray. She went through everything that Ariane went through, and it was a real pleasure to watch that happen, and even more of a pleasure to watch how much it worked in the final cut of the film.
Hey guys, my name is Noelle Toland. I play Stacy in Stolen Season, and I'm a producer on the film as well. This is my third project working with Pascal. I was in his first feature film, On the Horizon, which you should check out as well. But with Stolen Season, I came on very early in the process. Pascal called me, told me about his idea of a woman coming in contact with a child that she thinks might be hers, that she gave up for adoption years ago. And in dialogues we had, Portland came up as a destination. And I'm from there. I'm actually from a small town called North Plains, which is half an hour outside of Portland. But shooting there, I got to bring on my childhood friend, which was amazing. My best friend since I was 5 years old, Daniel King, came on as our stunt coordinator. And let me tell you, he is so fucking talented. I don't know anything about dirt bikes, but man, I mean, those brooming shots and those tricks with the wheels and stuff, he was fantastic. We were very lucky to have him. My friend Carl Saunders from Liberty High School is now one of the head football coaches there. So he was able to help us shoot the football sequences, and we shot at Liberty High School, my old high school. All those shots is my alma mater, which is a pretty cool full circle moment. And working with Pascal is so great because he is a collaborative filmmaker and partner, and we are a bones crew. I mean, there's just Pascal and the sound person, and us actors, and it's a really beautiful process when you do have a small crew because it's so much more intimate, and you do become a family very easily and very fast. And it was such an amazing experience, not only shooting in my hometown, but also shooting with Abbey, who's this phenomenal actress. I mean, she's just blew me away. And Mike, who's a fucking amazing too. And I play his girlfriend in the movie. And it was just so easy to work with them. There was just this ease and comfort and freedom that was really fun. And I just had such an amazing time making the movie, and I know you're gonna have an amazing time watching it. So
Hi, I'm Daniel King. I got to be fortunate enough to be chosen as the stunt coordinator for Stolen Season. It was my first time on the set of a movie. Shout out to Pascal for filming and Mona for doing the sound boom and getting all the good rev limiter noises as we took off in parking lots and disrupted people's peaceful coffee dates and etc. in the trendy downtown Portland area. You know, we were doing nose manuals and wheelies across town and ripping in the train tracks right before the train comes by, and somehow I always managed to be just loading my bike into the back of my van right as the police would turn the corner and be looking for some obnoxious guy on a sweet motorcycle, thanks to KTM and CC Motorcycles, Tor Drake. Shout out CC Motorcycles and CC Motor Coffee. They're delicious and awesome, the coffee. Pascal allowed me to have my own kind of creative ideas and teach Matthew Bilodeau how to, you know, position himself on the bike and keep a finger on the clutch and on the brake, and to be wary of the throttle just a little bit goes a long way type of thing. And it paid off pretty well. The movie was a lot of fun. Shooting together with the crew became really close over the week that we shot together, or at least that I was on set for the motorcycle stunts and side of things. We had a blast, man, and this movie takes you from the ocean at the West Coast into downtown Portland and to kind of, some cool spots around town under bridges, and I don't want to give too much away, but it's beautiful, and there's a lot of cool local spots that are shot in the movie, and it's really beautiful, and we all put a lot of work into it, so I hope you guys enjoy it.
My name is Lathen Gorbett, and I was the assistant producer and the assistant to the director on Stolen Season. The experience of working on a film set for my first time was hands down my favorite thing that I've ever been paid for. It was a constant learning experience, and prior to working on this film, I'd never seen a call sheet, I'd never read a script for a film, and I'd never worked with actors or a director before. I'd never worked with a team collaborating on things like shots and sounds and lighting. And every day just felt like such a privilege. I met Pascal through a friend. His name's Stephen England. He's an agent at Option Talent Agency here in Portland, Oregon, where I live and where most of this film was shot. He knew that I really wanted to get into the business of filmmaking, that I had some skills in education and documentary work, and that I have the work ethic to be able to do the job. He introduced me to Pascal via email. I was very nervous, knowing that I didn't have such an impressive resume. But Pascal and I had a phone conversation which went really well, and everything from there just felt like a natural connection. I basically just did the best I could to not sound like I didn't know what I was doing, which I didn't, and asked a lot of questions in order to make sure that I was serving his vision the best I could. I just knew that this guy was talented and driven and passionate, and I just couldn't wait to get to work. Going into this film sort of blind, in terms of what to expect on set, it was all so new to me that it didn't make a difference how small it was. I didn't even learn till later how unusual it was to make a film of this caliber, a feature film with this small of a crew. Later in the process, I did some behind the scenes interviews with some of the actors, and that was the one thing across the board. They said they'd never been on a set with this small of a crew. So it was kind of nice for me just to go into it blind because I didn't have anything to compare it to. It was just nice to see that such a high caliber movie could be made with a crew of people that just really had a strong relationship with each other. We very quickly learned how to operate on each other's beat, like where the other person was going to be at each given time, what was expected in any given situation from one person to the next, and everything wasn't perfect. There were times when I didn't think that I was doing enough, and I would ask Pascal, hey, is there anything else that I can be doing? And he says, no, you're doing more than enough. And there was other times where I felt like I was hustling, and he would say, hey, we need you to get on it a little bit more so we don't fall behind. So it was just kind of learning the pace of things. That was really the thing with a crew that size was just, and then my lack of experience was just trying to learn the day-to-day expectations. Most of the cast and crew were together for approximately 20 days, and so saying goodbye to everybody when when Pascal said that's a wrap, it dawned on all of us that we were done working together. And being my first film, again, this was a new experience for me. I've heard stories about this before where certain crews, certain teams that work on movies or TV shows, when it comes to an end, they have a hard time letting go sometimes. And for me, that was the case. It was just hard to just know that these people that I almost, I formed these friendships with, and I felt like these were people that I should be working on every day together. That it shouldn't just be, we're done with this, now we're moving forward. And one of my favorite things about working on this film was the fact that I'm from Portland, and it was shot in Portland. And there was one other producer on the film that knows Portland pretty well, but I know Portland really well. And just being able to show off my city, Pascal's never been here before, so to see what he was able to do with this movie, with the city, through a lens that I had not really seen the city in before. Some of the drone shots I'd never seen, the angles and the choices that he chose to use in the final film were ones that I might not have chosen. Before we started filming, I drove around and was doing some location scouting, and he said, I want an area that looks like this. And so I would go out and find a few places, and then when he got here, I would go show him those places. And he knew maybe not necessarily what he wanted the shot to look like, but he had a vision. And then when he saw the right place, he just knew it. And so he was able to utilize these places that I drive by and take for granted all the time, just as, this is what I see. This is what I see when I go to the grocery store, when I drive around town for whatever reason. And then in the final film, to be able to see what he chose to use, visually just stunning. And the fact that he was able to use Portland as his canvas in this way, it made me proud to be working on this film, but it also made me proud to be a Portlander, and it makes me proud to show this movie off to other people. And I don't even want to say just in compared to movies that might have bigger sets. I mean, it's a good movie. It's its own style. Pascal, like many of my favorite directors, he's owning his own vision. Once their style starts to stick with an audience, people can go back and look at some of their earlier work and say, okay, this is where it started. This is significant because now I can see this in all of their films. And I feel like with this film, it's starting out, I mean, Pascal, I think this is his second movie, second feature film. He's coming out the gates with an ambitious and beautiful story, and visually compelling. And it's one that I'm really proud to have my name on. It's one that I'm proud to share with my family and friends, and then just be a part of in general.
Hi, my name is Cecily Crow, and I played Jessie in the film Stolen Season. Jessie is one of Ariane's therapy clients, and I go to see her on a day that she is a little bit distracted. It was pretty amazing working with Abbey, coming into a scene where I'm having a complete and total emotional breakdown. She gave me a lot to work off of, and it was really a lot of fun. Working with Pascal, he comes into these sets with such a small crew, and it really creates such a sense of intimacy and spontaneity. It was pretty amazing to see the end product and just how incredibly beautiful the film is. I honestly didn't believe that it was possible to create something that stunning with such a small crew. There's not a lot of emphasis on lighting or set design, anything like that. It's really just the spontaneity of the cast and crew coming together under Pascal's vision. It was really a lot of fun working on this set.
I am Mackenzie Lawren, and I played Megan in Stolen Season. So when I was auditioning, I happened to be visiting family at the time, so I was a little bit limited on my equipment, and I had to do it I'm pretty sure I had to do it on just like on my phone and get the best lighting that I could from like daylight. But I'm not complaining. I booked it, so I must have done something right. Working with Pascal was really, it was really fun because he was really dedicated to the film. Like, you could tell, like, this was his baby. It made it a really fun experience. Everyone was kind of on the same page, just really excited about bringing truth to such a compelling story. Filming was like, it was crazy. We were like always like just like on the go. It felt like a little bit like chaotic, but in all the right ways. Like, it was just, we were just always moving. The cast was also really cool. I think Pascal had a really good eye for casting as well, because everyone was just as passionate about the project as Pascal was, and we ended up becoming such like a family by the end of it. So it makes me miss filming and being with that cast so much. I made friends out of it, so I would say it was a really great experience. I remember when I watched the film, because by the end of it, I had just done my makeup for some I came back from a photo shoot, that's what it was. So I had like full glam on everything. And Pascal just texted me, oh, I have the film, you can watch it. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So he sends me the link and I'm watching the film, and I remember by the end of it, I was bawling, just in tears. I was an absolute wreck. And my makeup had literally, like, it was just melted off my face. I looked crazy. But hey, the movie did its job, and it took a team effort. And a small team it was, but it doesn't make the value and the powerful aspect of the film go any lower. Like, it was still a really powerful film. Even with the small cast that we had and the small production. And it was quite the tearjerker, because I know all the blood, sweat, and tears that went behind creating that film. So yeah, it was truly an amazing experience, and I can't wait to work with everyone again soon, hopefully.
Hi, my name is Lowell Deo, and I play James in Stolen Season. Now, the thing that really attracted me to James is he is this totally no-nonsense guy. Loves his job, dedicated to his work, but at the same time, he's also got this colleague that he's loyal to. You know, sometimes you have coworkers who aren't exactly doing what they should be doing, so that's where his delicious conflict comes into play. And speaking of that colleague, she was played by Abbey Siegworth, the wonderful Abbey Siegworth, and working with her was phenomenal. It gave me a chance to play, a chance to grow. And that's because Abbey has got these electric blue eyes. They're like huge eyes. They're eyes that can say anything and nothing at the same time. So whether you're doing a scene with Abbey that involves true conflict, or one that requires you to show like a camaraderie, a friendship there, she brings it in spades. And that was one of the things about working in Pascal's movie. I got a chance to check out some of his earlier work, and I got to see this work as well. And everybody in his film is preternaturally beautiful. It's incredible. And I'm not putting myself in that category, but you've got pretty people, really pretty people who bring it. You've got a passionate director who thinks out every shot, knows exactly how it should look. He chooses the most evocative locales, and I think you have a recipe for something special here. And something else I really liked about Stolen Season is it's not a Lifetime movie. It's not like Hallmark or one of these movie mill pictures, and that's because it's got a lot of different twists and turns, and it has a formula. I'm not going to even call it a formula, but it has something where people you initially start rooting for, you don't necessarily start rooting for them at the end, and vice versa. So there's a lot of play in there where things are never exactly as they seem, and people switch it up, and I like that. Now, when I got the call to work on Stolen Season, I was told it was going to be a very sparse crew, and they weren't joking, because normally if you work on a movie, there are like dozens of people, if not hundreds of people, all milling about. Everybody's got a specialized job. But here, it's really just Pascal. And maybe one or two people helping him out. Like Lathen was one who was helping him out. And you're thinking, right, you guys are shooting a feature film and it's just you two, just you three. But they got it done. And I am pretty proud of the results. So if there was one word I would use to describe Pascal, it'd be passionate. And that passion translates to his vision and the images you see on screen. And that passion is infectious, because I'm definitely a believer.
Hi, my name is Burton Binder, and I play Liam. I'm the friend, the kind of a scumbag asshole. My experience on set was, well, there wasn't really a set, first of all. I don't know what I was expecting, but this definitely wasn't what I was expecting. It was exciting. It was awesome. I mean, it was cool. For the first few days, I thought his name was Pascal Payant, until someone corrected me, and damage had already been done. I mean, I've never met anyone like him. He's a guy who gets it done. It sounds kind of corny, but he really inspires, you to want to make a movie. He inspires the people around him to want to make a movie, which is kind of why it's even possible. One of a kind, for sure. Well, Matthew is a total diva on set. Total fucking, like, just out of control, He made people, call him by his character's names, and, like the eye contact thing, no eye contact. He kept, like he would take my lines, like I would be speaking and he would just start saying my lines and he'd be like, deal with it, No, he was amazing. One of the most professional actors I've ever seen. I learned a lot from working with Matthew. I mean, at times it can be freaky to work on any movie, but especially one where everybody's, has so much on their plate, so I don't know if I would have been able to get through this as well as I did without having Matthew there to just kind of fuck around with and talk to. And it was an experience for me just because it was kind of like my first time doing it, on top of it being such an exciting project on its own. So it was kind of like two birds with one stone. When I heard that it was going to be as small as it was, I assumed that it would be a very stressful experience, and I'm sure it was for Pascal, but I assumed it would be like a highly dysfunctional thing. Everybody got along, from my memory, from my side of it. It seemed like everybody was getting along, and it was very, organized. How I feel about the movie is it's like watching a magic trick that I don't know how it's done, because it's like the fact that it exists at all, and even if it was like slightly watchable, I would be incredibly impressed. But the fact that it's what it is, so well made, confusing, to be honest. I don't even know how it's possible.
I mean, playing this character has definitely been super personal and close to home for me, and I think a lot of other teenagers. A kid who's getting in trouble at school, smoking weed. His mom wants to fix him because that's what moms do. Moms care, and so getting to play a character who gets sent to therapy and gets into some trouble and has some rejection along the way. It's been cool. My favorite thing about the experience has definitely been working with other actors who bring a lot to the table. Working specifically with Abbey, who has just been a dream to work with. She's so present. She brings so much flavor and so much of herself into each scene. You know, in LA, you're auditioning all the time. You're reading with readers for most of the time, and you finally book something, and you get to work with somebody who has put so much thought into something rather than just words on a page. My favorite part of the experience has just been working with really present actors who, you know, you can vibe with and bounce ideas off each other. Pascal has been an inspiration, to be totally honest. It's amazing to see somebody show up every single day with so much passion. Pascal does not complain. I've never seen him once get fired up about anything. You know, we're working out here in the elements. We're shooting at live football games and motocross events, and you know, there's a lot of distractions and a lot that can go wrong along the way. But Pascal has this way to, I don't know, stay calm and present, which helps his camera work and directing 100%. He's taught me a lot about just staying calm. What's cool about the story, I think, is just following two totally different characters who end up in this one world together, where, you know, they're both going through their own problems. It's very relatable. Every human being on the planet has problems. We all have our own baggage, and it's cool to see the two worlds collide in Stolen Season. This is the first feature film that I've had the opportunity to play a lead role in, and I've learned a lot about teamwork. Specifically, we have an amazing sound girl who never once, you know, complained about carrying gear, or no one person is above the other. We're all working together in this cohesive team, and it's taught me a lot about just how well that can work when everybody gives it their all. What I learned so much about the filmmaking process is a lot of it really is improv. You know, the script is a great blueprint, at least for this project. The script is a wonderful blueprint, and you can kind of play within these parameters. And it's something that I wasn't totally familiar with coming in. And by, you know, day 6, day 7, and so on, like, I really got comfortable in this way of working, where I got to bring my own flavor to the table that I didn't totally know I was going to be able to do bringing in. So it's been fun. I kind of like working in the open set environment. It's cool to, you know, go around and, like I said, like the football game environment or the motocross. You're walking around, and you know, you get the one tough part about it is that you get a lot of eyeballs on you, and so you feel a little bit of pressure, I think. But what's also cool about it is it's, you know, totally raw. They're not actors around us. I get to go up to, you know, younger kids and give them the fist bump or say hi to other people, and for the most part, people are very receptive to it, which I've been incredibly thankful for. The live set environment brings also just an energy in me as an actor. I get to walk around and know that, you know, anything could happen. It's totally raw, unfiltered, and you just gotta stay in character, which is, for me, a lot of fun.
I am Challen Cates, and I play Kristen in the movie. Kristen is Logan's mom, and Kristen has been keeping a secret from her son for his 17 years, and her greatest fear is that if she tells him, he's going to reject her. So her greatest fears are realized, of course. So it's been a great experience. Working with Pascal has been so interesting and fun and free. And we talked before filming. We got together in LA, and he was saying, like, look, you just have to trust me. And he kind of described his way of working and his filmmaking style, and I was really intrigued. I had never done a film quite like that before, so I was like, yeah, let's do this. I gotta experience that. This is definitely the smallest crew that I've ever worked with. I've never worked with a director who was also doing his own cinematography. So that has been a completely new experience. And that he's so in control of what he's doing, and he has a very particular vision, and he knows how to accomplish it very, very easily. Even when I read the sides for the audition, there was something in the sides that I connected with right away. Part of it, I think, is because I'm a mom, and you know, the idea of my son or either of my kids rejecting me in any way is extremely scary and painful to go there and imagine that. You know, I think that every time I work on a character, I learn something from the character, and from Kristen, I've learned, or it's been reinforced, how important it is to always be truthful. And as scary as that might be, it's better to be truthful and upfront from the beginning, because that's what gets her in trouble. My favorite thing has been getting to know the people involved with the film. Everyone has such a great attitude, and everyone's very positive and willing to be there for each other. And that I think has been the best thing about the project. Pascal is he has such an amazing temperament, and always on a set it starts with the director. They sort of set the tone for the whole project and the whole set, and I think everyone, the cast and crew, feed off of that energy, and so he's setting an amazing bar. He comes in every day with a positive attitude, and he's ready to go, and he's never tired, and he's never hungry, and he just keeps going and going and going, and he's got this really cute accent, which I love. So so he makes it a lot of fun. When I read the audition material, I was trying to, because I hadn't seen the whole script, I was trying to put it together. I was trying to imagine, okay, well, what's really going on and what's happening and what's the whole story. And so I was really intrigued to read the script. And I was really proud that I was right. And I kind of had figured out what was going to happen. And it definitely takes you on a great journey. Good twists and turns, good psychological drama, great characters, and I really like the twists and turns that it takes you on.
Become like a nice, great family, and everything about this whole film and the cast, the crew, everybody involved, it's just like it's become family, and it's just so nice to be in the project where you can open up and just have a great time while doing something that you love. A lot of times, we go to work and, we don't want to go to work, or we feel like there's just too much going on, but these past couple of days have just been so great, and I've met some great people, and we've had a great time, and, to do what you love and to be able to do it is it's amazing. So I'm just so super excited about this project. But I love it. He kind of grew up in the gritty part of town. I personally have not grown up in a gritty part of town, but, playing somebody who lived in a certain way but has changed their ways now and has become more mature, if that's the word that you want to say, and to come back, and find a girl that he's attracted to and he wants to be with. It's just, it's great for him, but, we can see the perils, the trouble that he goes through. Try to break the barrier that he has going on. He touches close to me because I get to bring elements of myself into the role. A lot of times that's, when you're somebody else, you have to bring yourself because that's the truth of the role as a whole. So it's just, what would I do in this situation? It's not usually like, what would Kyle do? It's mostly like, what would I do? And when you build the backstory, then you can live the situation as if it was your own. So Pascal, as a writer, director, producer, is one of those things, like you look at infomercials, it's like all in one. You can clean this and do this and scrape this, and the man's just a magician. He has so many things going on, guys, camera. And the great thing about him, though, on a serious note, is when you're actually doing your scene, you completely forget that he's there because he lets you do your thing, and you don't have so much direction from him, and he's all over he's coming from around you. You can be in like an intimate scene, and then you'll hear like, hey, I'm gonna come in and do a close-up right here of you. And it's like, you have no idea that he's even there. So, amazing person. He has such a great passion. He loves what he does. It's so rare to find, so rare to find people like that, and you can definitely see that his passion, his creativity, and his love, you know, it gets shown in his work, and he brings his whole soul to his work, and it's great to see that. Find a group of people that you really enjoy working with, and I'm really happy, and I'm really blessed that I was able to be part of this great crew and great cast and ensemble, and I'm excited for everybody.
This whole thing was unexpected. I mean, I have no representation at this moment in New York. I have no agent, no manager. This was just honestly a director taking a chance on somebody who had no Instagram followers and some IMDb credits, but like a couple years ago. And just saying, wow, whatever they brought to the table in the audition, that spoke to him in some way, that he kind of trusted his gut, and I'll forever be grateful for that, because I've learned so much by doing this film, more than I ever could have imagined. There's this like weird notion that a lot of people think that actors choose their roles. I was really grateful to even have Pascal respond to me and say, sure, your picture resume, just put this on tape, put aside on tape. So that was like, oh, okay, so that's good. You know, I liked the character description. I thought it was thoughtful and well-rounded. I thought it was a woman struggling with some really difficult and secretive kind of shame. And I think that being given even an opportunity to audition was huge. I mean, the three feature films I was in before this, 2 of them I was completely cut out of. So like, there's not much of a resume to go on, and to have somebody say, I don't care, I'm reacting to what you're bringing to the table. We had a couple conversations, some callback kind of video back and forth things with scene work, and talked about the character and talked about sort of the overarching flow of the film. And then I read the full screenplay and lost my shit a couple times, bawling. And it shifted since then, but there were still a lot of points that remained in our final version. But I felt like this is a story that is not told very often, and I felt a responsibility to, once I was cast, to really give a voice to women who go through their lives with a hole in their heart. To be able to tell a story of someone just desperately trying to find that connection, that was a real honor and something I did not take lightly. Ariane is a woman who was born into these circumstances that are not ideal. She doesn't have support at home. She has an emotionally abusive relationship with her father, and has a bond with her brother, which is the one like saving relationship for her at a younger age. And she finds herself pregnant from a guy that, in my imagining, said all the right things and had no follow-through, and ended up being just as abusive and manipulative as her own father, and was met with that impossible decision that I think a lot of women, especially young women, are met with when they find themselves pregnant at a young age and don't have money or housing or any kind of familial support system. At the beginning of the film, you meet somebody who is doing their best to get through every day with a vacant, reserved place in their heart for this child. Because it feels like it was a choice and not a choice at the same time. She was backed into a corner, and she did the best thing she could at the time with the knowledge that she had at the time. I admire Ariane more than I realized I would. It usually happens when I work on a role. I end up finding a way to admire them. She has developed a tough exterior over the years because she's learned that she can't trust a lot of people in her life. She can't trust, honestly, sometimes her own intuition. I think that every moment, she sees a 4-year-old boy on the playground. It becomes a fantasy. And to find a way to wake up every morning, realize that you can shake that off. You don't know anything about this child, and to keep going on with your day. I don't know how I would handle that. I mean, she's kind of drowning and just trying to keep her head above water and just live for today and get through today. And then every year that birthday circles around, and that's sort of where we meet her in the film. All I knew is that I had the conversations over months with Pascal, both about character, but also editing the dialogue to serve his vision. So I had an intimate relationship with the script for a long time, which was really, really helpful, I think, in preparing to come shoot. And as far as coming here, all I knew was I can approach each scene, each day, with as much focus and nuance and generosity and daring and fearlessness that I can muster. I just had to live in the moment. And I find Pascal's shooting style to be probably a rare blessing. He's so incredibly organic, and he is so supportive of the collaborative process. The amount of times I've asked where my mark is, where he wants me to land, because he's auto-focusing everything by hand, as far as I can tell, which is insane. But the amount of times that he answered my question of where's my mark with, I'll follow you. That doesn't happen. There's usually a crew of people setting up a shot to be perfect. The fact that we could go with something and he would follow and allow it and breathe with the scene, that is, I feel quite spoiled. I feel like the next project that I head into, I'm going to have to sort of prepare myself mentally for this rigid kind of framework. But it allowed for everyone to do better work, I think. I think everyone was able to breathe, felt less sort of tamped down and controlled, we were able to listen and be patient. It was always funny to me how we'd get to a public space and we'd have some permission from the owner of a coffee shop or whatever, and Pascal would still be like, why are there people here? I was always like, because there's people here, man. Like, I don't know. Let's just do it. Let's play. Let's have fun. Maybe there's a moment that goes by that we're not expecting that ends up being gold. I don't know if he's going to use this, but there was a moment outside the club when I had followed Logan to the club, and I leave and I go sit in my car and I call my brother. And one time while we shot it on the street, I think it was a fire engine, but it's the red and blue lights, so it looks like whatever. But that drove by, and in the middle of having followed a minor to a club and the amount of anxiety that comes up for Ariane in that moment, you know, I recognize that could add to the anxiety, and this fire truck just happened to go by at the exact same time that he was shooting in the car, and that kind of stuff would have cost a lot of money to make it happen. So to have it just sort of available in the world and to say yes to this stimuli that's always kind of popping off, that was fun for me. I always embraced the outside influences, and I feel like when you try to work against them, they're just gonna bite you in the ass.
My name is Kyle Woodward, and I play in the band We All Inherit the Moon with Adam and Lee and Anna and a bunch of our friends who help us make music. We've been a band for well over a decade now, and we did the soundtrack for Stolen Season. Pascal first got in touch with us because he thought some of our older music fit the mood of the film very well. And it just so happened at the time we'd been working on some ideas that we recorded and sent over to him, and he gave us notes on those, and we changed some things around, rebuilt some of the songs to fit the soundtrack a little better. And really those original demos, it was 5 songs that we cut down to 4. And then the rest of the soundtrack, he actually sent us clips of the film, and we were able to compose music specifically to those scenes. So we had kind of the best of both worlds. We had the detached work where you have limited information and more general moods and ideas that you can try to write music to. And we also had very specific scenes, very specific ideas and dialogue that we were able to compose to as well. But I'm going to show you one of the original 5 that became 4 songs that ended up in the soundtrack. It started off as 4 notes on the guitar that I was in love with, that I'd play and fiddle around with for years, but I never found the right combination of layers to really turn it into a song until the soundtrack, actually. So it's all based around these 4 notes on the guitar. It's simple, but it's pretty, I think. So that was the idea that I had in my head for a long time. And then when it came time to really start working and turning those ideas into full songs and something that could fit the mood of a scene, I came up with a few chords that just sort of drone and drift very well underneath of it. So I have a loop pedal down by my foot that I'm going to use to record each layer as I make it. This is how I scored most of the soundtrack, or at least took some of our band's ideas and added enough layers here and there and changed things around to really fit the soundtrack well. Yeah, sometimes good ideas are simple ones that you can build from. And that's what this one turned out to be, luckily. So I'm going to play just a few, oh my God. So I'm going to play just a few chords just as the foundational layer of the whole song. and it goes a little bit like this. I'm going to loop it. It's simple, but it's pretty. It works. So I'm going to change some of the effects and build just some nice, pretty textures, really, in the middle. so now we have that little bass line down. So now it feels like the right time to bring in that original riff. That distorted high guitar line. We're gonna try to keep it pretty, but let it build and get a little bit louder, a little hazier. So this is how. Okay. This is the riff that I wrote, that I had kicking around my head, that I never added anything to before the soundtrack. Here are those notes. So I had to take those notes and build a whole song underneath of it that would fit the film. Here's how I did it. So I took those 4 higher notes and I found some pretty chords that could sit underneath of it very well. And I'm just going to let those drone a little bit. So that's just a very soft, nice sounding background. It goes something like this. I'm going to use a loop pedal to record those notes and play them back while I build other layers on top of it. And this is how I wrote a lot of the songs for the soundtrack, actually. I'd have a simple idea, I'd put it onto a loop pedal and just build things on top of it until something worked, really. So here it is. I'll get the first loop started and then I'll start adding to it, and I'll tell you about each layer as I add to. Here we go. that's the foundational layer now. And instead of just having these layers drifting and droning, we want to add a little bit more texture into the mid-range here. So we're going to play some finger-picked chords on top of it. Now those texture layers in the middle are looped. Now we're going to add on that riff that everything started off as. But if we do that, it's going to be a lot of mid-range and high-range stuff without any real bass. So we are going to fix that. By putting in a little bit of low end here. We get to test and see if that main 4 guitar notes that all of this started with will fit well into the song, and if it will fit well into the movie too. Here we go. large part at least, the track called A Start from the Stolen Season soundtrack. Not bad for a 4-note guitar line.
My name is Alisa Erlikh, and I am the sound mixer and boom operator for Stolen Season. It was actually really random. So Pascal emailed me on I remember the day because it was so strange. It was early June, and I got an email from this gentleman named Pascal Payant, and he was telling me how he's doing this film, and it's really great. Check out some links. And I was like, "You're doing a film? That's awesome." And I'm guessing you need sound for film, which is why you contacted me. And he's like, yeah, I'm looking for a sound person. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll send you my resume. And we started the process, and I believe he was looking into some other person as well. And he ended up picking me, and I was really excited about his stuff because I looked at his the trailer for On the Horizon, and I saw the visuals, and they were beautiful, and I just had a lot of faith in him, and I was inspired by his artistic vision. It's actually really nice to work with just the director / DP, because Pascal and I have this unspoken bond for some reason. Like, we spoke like a few times on the phone, and he looked at my work, I looked at his work, and we just kind of clicked. So as soon as we started working, I picked up on the fact that he doesn't call action really. He doesn't, he'd look at me and I'd be rolling already, because I'm like, yeah, we're ready, we're rolling, we're in the scene. There's no broken telephone where it's like, oh, we gotta call action, we gotta do a clap, or he doesn't do the synchronizing, So from a technical perspective, it's easy to move around. We can get a lot done in one day. From a creative perspective, it's really great because I have free speech with him directly in terms of, if there's any surrounding noise, or if something didn't go right, because we're working with open sets. Like right now, there's someone chatting in the background behind me, and we'd be like, okay, let's hold the roll, or let's go again. We'll probably do another take, and it's actually really great to work with a director that treats everyone, cast and crew, as equal, and we're all just collaborating to make a project that we all want to be proud of and happy with, and the best visual and audio and best performance, and just something that's ours collectively, and we all can be proud to put our name on. I didn't know anything about Oregon or Portland in general, so coming here and just viewing the terrain, viewing how industrial the city is, how just the landscape, the buildings, the weather, the clouds, all the beautiful chunky clouds that just the weather here is like, you don't like the weather, wait 10 minutes. It's similar in Toronto, but not to this extent. And I was just so impressed. It takes a lot of, time and effort, and everything has just kind of clicked in such a way where I haven't given it a second thought, but thinking back now, it's actually so blessed and so humbling to be able to work with such a seamless crew and cast where everyone is literally on the same brain length. And I think Pascal did this, and he knew this, and he handpicked people that kind of fit together into this one cohesive conglomeration of creativity and logistics, and we've had pretty much no hiccups. Pascal is a very unique and very interesting human. He has an amazing eye for composition, for colors, for shadows, and he really knows what he's doing, and I feel honored to have been part of this project and to have been selected, which seemed out of like nowhere, out of random. It's like everything we do is for the art, and you can feel that working with him, and it translates in the film.
My name is Pascal Payant. I'm the director of Stolen Season. This is the second feature film I'm doing. We shot it in Portland. We have an amazing time. This is the last day, and we're getting a little tipsy. Writing it was after that I'd done my film On the Horizon that came out in 2016. I kind of lost the passion of cinema a little bit. I'm 37, and it was so much work, so much to do. I didn't have an assistant, I didn't have anything, just my sound person, and we shot it in Utah and France, and I overload of stress, and it was just so much. So I don't know, I took 2016 off. 2017 I started to write, and I was like, if I'm gonna do another film, I want to make something different, completely out of my comfort zone. I want to fall back in love with cinema, and I was just like, what can I do that can be different, that is gonna be, I don't know, just completely left-handed for me. So I was like, I'm gonna talk about a story where to give a kid for adoption, and then 17 years later a kid comes into her office and then she becomes obsessed with that person, with that kid. I was like, that's kind of a cool idea. And then, but that's one thing, that's the idea, and then after that you have to start writing it. And then, so it was a good 1.5 years of just writing, redraft. But I wanted to be a better writer. I wanted to tell better stories. I don't know, I wanted to be better. I wanted to go deeper in the craft of writing. So I took the time of just like starting from scratch and just writing the ideas, and then you start, and then I had a good surrounded of people that I've surrounded myself with, and they just they were just super honest with me of just like, yeah, what you just wrote is pure shit. So yeah, just try again, and just that works, that didn't work, and then so it was a good 1.5 years of just learning and completely just relearn how to write, relearn to tell stories, and at the same time getting out of my comfort zones. And that story it's based on a little bit on my side. My mom has been adopted, and she doesn't know her mom, she doesn't know anything. And I was like, that's kind of interesting that even on my side, I don't know that side. Do I have cousin? Do I have grandfather? Whatever, I don't know anything. I don't even know the last name of that side. So that intrigue and mystery kind of turned me on to just like, that can be something cool. And then I just started writing and just see where it was going. After 2 years of preparing, and I've decided, let's go shoot. And then one of my friends told me, hey, you should choose Portland. I was like, Portland? I was like, I don't know anything about freaking Portland. And but then I started to sort of do some research about location, and then I've tweaked the script a little bit to make it fit. Because the problem is that when I did On the Horizon, I spent so much time just traveling the place. Sometimes it was 6 hours to go to a waterfall, and you spend so much time traveling, and it was 23 days of shooting. This one today we just finished in 18 days, so that's pretty amazing. But that's why I wanted for Portland, is that I want a city where everything is close by, everything's 10-15 minutes, the ocean is 1 hour, so everything is just having that factor alone makes the process of filming way easier. You don't have to waste time traveling all the time. So yes, there's traffic, whatever, but overall it's just a good base to just move fast and execute, and just overall it's just been an amazing process. Portland has been amazing. It's been a great city. It felt a little bit like home. It doesn't feel so far from Canada, from Montreal, and I don't know, it just felt home. I didn't feel any kind of weirdness. Everyone is lovely, everyone wants to help. Portland seems to be a place where they believe in cinema, they believe in art, and they want to help a new filmmaker. That's one thing, but then French Canadian, that's maybe another thing. So yeah, I don't know, it's been a 1.5 years of just trying to make something great, and I don't know, I really pushed myself to do something different. I wanted to push myself to fall in back with cinema, and that's kind of the backstory. Abbey, who's playing Ariane, completely came out of the left field. I had maybe, 85,000 people who submitted for the film, and I don't know, it's just I was searching through people, and then I had maybe 3 people I was kind of interested with, and then I made them test, and just something didn't feel right. And then out of nowhere, Abbey Siegworth, she just came out, this blonde, weird, intense, vampire teeth, whatever. She just had this kind of a weird vibe. But then when I saw her audition, I was just like, whoa, she got something so interesting, so beautiful, so real and raw. And what you want from an audition is that you want to find, without even talking to them, without even an email, you just send them the material, they send you something, and then it feels right. And if you have that feeling of just like, oh, without even talking to them, they understand the character, then imagine what you're gonna be on set and then talking to them. So yeah, I just saw her and I was like, it was her and between her and another person. And then just at the end, when you're working with such a small crew, it's all about personality in the end. You know, it's like a tight family. So if you hate each other, you're gonna hate each other like crazy. And when I spoke to her on the phone, it was just smiley, fun, loving, passionate, and she really, really wanted. And we were talking every day, texting every day, and I don't know, it was just easy. It was fun. It was loving. I can feel her passion for the script. She cried when reading in the script. It's like, wow, you're just an amazing person and talent. You're so talented. And I didn't see that person, that not the personality, but just her look, like her visual style. I didn't see that for the role. I had this kind of a cliche brunette or dark, edgy, strong, and then she's blonde, blue eyes, kind of sweet. But then when she started getting into the role, she can be mean, she can transform herself on a dime, and that's super interesting. So when I saw her and I started talking to her, I said, you're it. You know, and again, it was for me getting out of my comfort zone, because in general, like on the horizon, I had this kind of dark, edgy, strong woman, and I was like, it's still the same thing in a way, but it's just, for me, it was all about acting, talent, pure, not just based on look itself. But I don't know, when I saw her, it just clicked. It just, inside of me, I was just like, it's her. For the kid, for Logan, the role of Logan, his name is Matthew Bilodeau. When I saw him, I saw his face, I was like, oh, it can be super interesting. That I saw his name, Matthew Bilodeau. He's French-Canadian. But he's not French-Canadian. His family's French-Canadian. But I was like, I don't want a freaking French-Canadian with an accent in the film. I was like, I don't want that. That makes no sense in Portland. But then, no, he's an American and amazing, fresh, new blood talent. And when I saw him, he was the only one in all those people who auditioned that was like, I think this is the guy, just based on audition. And there's the thing, with audition, I don't know, most of the people, they suck in a sense where you don't talk to them, they just read a side, you know, you just read the text and they have an idea of the scene and you never talk to them. But when you have, it's just, for me, it goes for an energy. And when you have this kind of a, I don't know, when you see someone and they have a presence, they have something so interesting, and you're glued to the screen, even if it was not the best audition, it doesn't matter. Because, you know, if they have something so interesting, then, you know, together you can create a bond, you can create a partnership, a trust that you can really push them, elevate them. And again, all of my audition was always self-tape. I don't meet them in person. It's all about, you know, it's all about trust. Can you communicate well? Via text, email, phone call, FaceTime, whatever, are you know, can you be there present 24/7? Because my style demands a lot of time, attention, and if you cannot communicate and really be passionate in the present time with me and really give your all, it's never gonna work. So this was one of the most important things for me, to find that casting. The same thing with the sound person, the boom operator, Alisa. Again, I was searching for people who wanted to do the film, and everyone needs to be one. It's all about personality in the end. It worked, and I found those people who just collaborate, and the personality-wise, everyone fits on the same level. There's no diva. It was the most positive experience that I've ever had on any set, because it's just everyone have the same personality. We never had one argument, and I don't know, that's just that alone is freaking amazing. Most people, they always either wait for money, they either wait for a big crew, and then they just think, oh, it's so complicated and big. And no, that's the thing. if you know what you're doing, if you are confident in your skill and you know where you're good at and when you suck, then you can manage to create the team and find those people who's gonna really blend with you. For example, everything is schedule, location and stuff like that. I had my girlfriend who came on set and really helped me, and she was freaking amazing. Her brain works in a sense where for her, it's scheduling and making sure it's like Tetris, you know what I mean? And I suck at Tetris. And I needed her to just really help me with that. So once I have her that I know she's good at one thing, then I have Alisa that she's good at sound, and then I have Lathen that she completely knows Portland, like he's born here, whatever, you know what I mean? He knows everything about Portland. And then I have me that I know I can create beautiful visual. I know I can cast well or find people who are cinematic, dreamy, whatever, and it fits the story. Then once you put all of this together, then you have something strong, and you can really elevate your work. They can really push me to be better, and I can push them to we can all go to a place that we can be afraid to go, but at least we attack together, we go down together, we cry together, laugh together, and in the end, yeah, we have a cool fucking film. I went from On the Horizon, that was kind of a dreamy, safe zone. I've been doing this for like 15 years kind of thing. And then that's why I said I want to do something completely different, and I'm going to write a story that is completely out of my comfort zone. I want to have a casting that is completely out of my comfort zone. And what I love, for me, I shoot everything natural lighting. One camera, it was shot with a RED Epic W8K. And then you arrive, let's say, at a Cannon Beach. And then when you arrive at Cannon Beach and you have the weather, storm was coming, big cloud, and then for me I was like, oh, that scene is supposed in the script, it's supposed to be beautiful, dreamy, sunny, and then you have this fog, and then the waves are crashing and everything, and I was like, that's where you need to not be afraid, you need to be confident in yourself and just like, fuck it. You know, for me that's the one thing that I can say to any actors or anybody is, fuck it. Just go, don't be afraid, try, experiment, get out of your comfort zone, go to places that you've never been before. And when I was there, I realized the film was supposed to be here, but then when I was shooting, I was kind of here, and it was experimental, and I was loving it. I was like, that's way more cool here than if I was taking on the plan. So that's why I said, well, the film is gonna be that type of film where everything is gonna be shaky handle, how to focus. Everything needs to be natural, it's raw, it's in the moment. I shoot like a documentary. If you arrive on a set and you know exactly your shot list, you know exactly what's gonna happen, you know exactly everything, that's the most boring freaking thing to do, because for me, I wanna be discovering things that I've never thought of. The same thing with my directing the actors. I want them to impress me. I want them to suggest things that I didn't think of. I want them to bring them ideas. I want them to just exactly surprise me, and I'm gonna be there catching them. And I think we got, I'm super happy that I went there, because if I was stuck in my comfort zone and focusing on the script or the vision that I originally had for that, I think it would have been boring. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a very beautiful experience, and at the end, and now I feel good about myself. I feel I'm ready to go attack another film, because I feel that this one is like, it's fucking pretty cool. Let's go do another one, and that's what you want in the end. You know what I mean? The product's the product, fine, but in the end, you need to feel in love, and you want to try things, and you want to discover yourself, and to get out of your comfort zone can be scary, but it's the most, rewarding part of the whole thing.